After a slow start, Perri and his mum start talking again, resulting in him deciding to leave with her to New Zealand. Tane and Harper get steamy, but proceed with caution as they decide to give their relationship a go. Rue returns home and is far from happy with the Northern District Care Services. Could this be the end for John and Dana's friendship? And in a shocking twist, Leah loses her wedding ring. Or not. Maybe. I don't know.
It's actually really beautiful.
Yeah. Sometimes I forget.
You know, you've done so much for me since I arrived with. And I just want to thank you.
You did all the hard work, not me.
Tane, I think I want to go with her.
We are Si and Sophie. This is Coastal News, a home and away podcast, your weekly episode companion podcast for your favourite Aussie soap.
Right, Soph, any dodgy prawns this week?
Thankfully, no. No dodgy prawns. Why? Why are you asking me?
I don't know, it was just something that came up in the episodes this week.
Okay.
Dodgy,
No.
Dodgy
I'm
prawns.
Mark's safe from dodgy prawns. How about you? Are you okay?
Same, won't go near it. Wouldn't touch shellfish down. I would
No.
actually, but not prawns. Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the old prawns, no. Don't mind a scampi. Like, if it's in batter, I'll eat it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, same. Yeah, fried up.
Exactly. Why not?
I don't trust myself with poop. Sorry, this has gone there already. But don't.
I just don't like, you know, when you watch Come Dine With Me and there's someone that always does prawns and they're there pulling out the thing, aren't they? And I'm like, making me feel sick just thinking about it. No.
Yeah. How are you? Other than that,
Other
moving
than
on.
prawn poop, let's move on. I'm good. Are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. Whoa! What do you think of Home and Away this week?
I will be honest. I will try not to be too honest, but I found it a bit of a chore this week, a little bit of a chore. It may be the way that I had to watch the show this week because unfortunately and it's my fault this time, we've had to record early. So I've had to kind of squeeze the episodes in when I can, and I hate watching it, you know, ahead like that. So I like to watch it on my 5 and, you know, nice HD and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think
there's a bit of chat
bit of a
about
chore.
that this week as well online about how good it looks on screen and in HD and that, and you just realise, don't you, when you're watching properly?
Yeah,
You've got to
definitely
savour
couldn't
it.
watch it. I couldn't watch
nightly.
it at Oz pace. I know there's a few people that follow us and they go, oh, you're miles behind and I'm watching it, you know, 7-8 weeks ahead of you and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, good for you, but I'm not watching it online like that. It looks awful. It buffers. Yeah. There's weird music that goes in and out sometimes. It's horrible. Like, it's awful. I hate watching it that way. So, no, I will keep my 5, my HD.
Same. Same. And you're supporting the show here.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's the main thing, isn't it? You know, we need to watch it here and it's on air here and keeping the viewings up and all that business.
Yeah.
But you are, I mean, we braced ourselves for a chore of a week, given the storylines and the block storylines, etc. But I'm hoping that, you know, maybe Leah losing her engagement ring down the sink or not down the sink. It was in a giant fake pineapple. Maybe that cheered you up. Who knows?
Maybe. How did you find it? Were you thinking the same, or did you enjoy it more than I did, or?
Do you know, it surprised me actually. I think it was a week or two out. I think it improved in the second half.
Oh yeah.
I think it was a slow start. And I was, and I got a bit emotional and things, and we'll come on to the stories in a bit. At Perry's exit this week, sort of, so I sort of fell into it and got into it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I am a bit more fickle than yourself, so I'm swayed easily. But yeah, I did reflect at the end of watching it. I did reflect and think, it wasn't. I was expecting it to be worse.
Yeah.
Based
Yeah.
on first look last week.
Mm.
Speaking of, we must apologise.
You
because,
can, because you can edit it.
I did.
No, you didn't.
I did. I cut about 12 seconds out of it.
You should have cut about 12 minutes out of it. Oh dear.
There was a bit where you were dying and just said, "Yeah, you can't put that out," and then choked to death. And I thought, well, that can't go out.
Oh, I know. I've still got my cough. So if you make me really laugh, I start coughing, then I do sound like I'm dying. So.
Oh, I am sorry.
No, it's fine.
God, it is lingering, this cough, isn't it?
I know. It's been a month now. I'm
Mm.
fed up. Apparently, this is going around though. A lot of people at work have had it, and they've said that they felt ill for ages. So. Yeah, don't know. Annoying. I feel absolutely fine. I'm just tired and got a cough. That's all.
Yeah, coughing takes it out of you anyway. And you get dead fed up with yourself, don't you? Thinking, shut up.
I know. I can feel when I'm coughing. I can feel how annoying it is. For other people that have to hear it, it's annoying.
Yeah, I feel like that. Well, hopefully you shift it soon. Yeah.
Yes, fingers crossed.
Yeah, so we do apologise last week. The edited version of First Look was still hilariously hilarious because we just cry about laughing. I don't know what got into us. I'd had 33 minutes sleep in 2 days. I think that was a catalyst. I do apologise.
I have no excuse.
Maybe you're easily led astray.
Maybe I think I am. I think I remember this. When you have like the report cards at school, I think I remember something similar in them, like easily led astray.
Yeah, same.
Falls in with the wrong crowd. Yeah.
I remember going to a job in my late teens, like an evening job or something. And I had to be signed off at the end of like the 3 weeks training or something. And it's like 3 weeks classroom training. And I had to be signed off at the end. And the trainer was like, "I'll sign you off, but you need to stay away from those girls."
Oh no!
Like,
were you with the mean girls? Did you fall into the wrong crowd?
Yeah, and I was like, "What did he say to you girls?" They were like, "We've got to stay away from you." I was like, "All right."
Oh no!
It's not nice, is it? Not nice.
No.
He's just jealous. Jealous. I had all the friends at the back.
Mm-hmm.
Not paying attention. I passed the test.
Yeah, what do they want?
Yeah. Anyway, I quit that job on my lunch break 3 hours late. Not 3 hours, 3 weeks. Big news out of home and away this week. A few days ago, over in Oz, and we couldn't avoid this news because it seeped everywhere and people started messaging us about it, that the full-length theme tune is back. The show did say, didn't they, over the Christmas break that it was going to be back for 2025. Sporadically, we're going to see it, which is how they used to do it, if you remember. When there was time for it, you just suddenly, it would happen upon you of an evening at Channel 5 when we used to be there at 6 p.m. And so we've all seen it, haven't we? And we've posted it. So the full length theme is coming back, which is very exciting. It's got everybody talking, hasn't it?
Definitely. And we won't see it in the UK for about 2 months now, will we? So
no. There's a new closing theme with all different stock shots as well that I've seen going around. So there's a bit of a refresh on the look and feel of the show, and I'm really, really welcoming it, to be honest. The theme tune's the same version, isn't it? The one we've been having, because we've always had closing credits on the international version. Yeah. With those stock shots, it looks like stock shots are going to be updated. Theme tune's going to be the same, but it's going to be full length opening. We've got characters very happily slow-mowing up the beach, and I love a walk on the beach, you know me. So I quite like it, and it makes everything feel. It's just dead warm. They've not CGI'd it like some of the, because that'd be a bit dated now. That was like a bit of a noughties thing, wasn't it? In and out of jumping in and out of picture frames and things. So I quite like it. It's dead straightforward, dead simple. These are your characters, and they're all having a good time until the program starts. What's your first reaction?
Yeah, mixed feels. Obviously hearing the tune when you've turned the CV on is just the best thing, isn't it? So having that back, like the nostalgia of hearing that and getting to sing along with it, even if I sing it really badly, I think I'm amazing at singing that song, even though I'm not. So I'm glad that's back. I was a bit surprised by some of the clips that we saw in terms of who was being filmed singularly and who was being filmed as couples, and why some couples were couples and other couples were not couples. And it made me speculate on, breakups and people leaving and stuff. And I was like, oh, this feels a bit like a spoiler. But Mr. David on Twitter said to me that he's seen these clips before ages ago, and they were used as part of a promo for Channel 7. So they're not actually, no thought has been given into putting these together in terms of the storylines that are on the show upcoming. So I've decided not to overthink it and just go with it.
Just go with it. Yeah.
Yeah,
they do look very, and you can picture it, can't you? And at the side of where we're strolling on the beach, you can picture the logo appearing with like Monday through Thursday or whatever. We see them all the time, don't we? So yeah, he's probably right. And I think I think it'll indicate to us who's sticking around, I think, as well, because suddenly they'll have a pit in the opening title, or you know what I mean? And because I know you were talking about the couples and sort of Mac and Levi are together, but they don't have their own stit. We imagine we tune in one day and like the titles come on and they're on their own. I'm expecting it to be switched up a bit every now and then, which will keep me looking.
Well, I hope so. This is the thing. This is why I'm a bit funny about opening credits, because sometimes they don't edit them for ages and you're stuck watching people that have gone. And I'm like, I wish they would update this because so-and-so's dead now and so-and-so left.
Yeah.
And other shows that have got opening credits do that. And it really winds me up because I'm like, they left ages ago. Why are they still in the opening credits?
Yeah.
So for that, I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't know what I would have preferred. So I'm not sure what the solution is, but I was a bit like, oh, I'm not sure about the coupley bit, but there we go.
Producers, we love you for doing it. We've been asking for it for years. 17, I believe, I read today.
Wow.
So thank you for bringing it back full length. We love you. We'll have a sing-song every night. It just helps the identity and feel of the show. I've got going into the show out of them opening titles, and they look how nice they look and picturesque. Really sets the scene. And no other soap has that imagery. It's so good. No other soap looks this good on screen. I'm sorry, I will die on that hill. So that really, and the fact that comes through really strong in those titles, I'm happy with. Keep them updated, please. Don't leave us around for ages.
And if you are editing it, put the names of the characters on, because everyone said online, like, it would be useful to know for people that don't watch the show currently. This is Mr. Stewart. This is Brie. This is Remy. This is so and so. You know what I mean?
This is a trend. This Neighbours is the same.
Yeah, someone said that on Twitter.
Yeah, they don't have the character names anymore. They've just got like quite similar to what Home and Away have done. Except Home and Away's done it miles better. Anyway. Yeah, it's the same. So I don't know if that's like a thing now. It's like a trend, but yeah, it'd be helpful for new viewers. It's a good sort of whistle-stop tour of who's who, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I mean, if they're any struggling, there's a podcast here that'll tell them everything they need to know.
In fact, we should probably update our episode on newbies that want to get into the show, because that's a couple of years old now, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, someone did tell us off for that, didn't they? About 12 months ago. Let's pencil that. Tell me when you're free. We'll do another one.
November.
Pencil it in for 23rd of November. Right, should we talk about Home and Away then this week? So, Tane at the very top of the week, he's promising Kaya. Is she called Kaya? Perri's mum, Kaya.
So.
Kaya Hayes. Kaya.
Yeah, Kaya.
Yeah.
Kaya Hayes. Yeah.
Yeah, Kaya Hayes. That he's promising her that he'll talk to Perri. Like he's begging her not to leave town, isn't he? Like, don't go. I'll speak to him and I'll try and talk him round for you. Which again is mixed. I was just sitting there thinking, God's sake, 1 minute like he wants him to go with his mum. The next minute I'm going to miss him. We touched on that last week, didn't we? About him being dead mixed with everything in regards to Perri leaving or not leaving and mum being there and whatnot. But Perri is still resistant to it all, and he doesn't want to listen. And you know what? We didn't blame him, did we? Like he told her to go to hell Friday the week before. Like, you're talking about yourself. All I'm hearing is me, me, me. Get stuffed. So I don't blame him at this point. And he says, I'm not listening to this. I don't want to know. And he goes out to work and bumps into Theo again. Now, we know Theo has become just the best confidant ever in the Bay, especially for Perri, who, let's face it, is the only friend he's made in the Bay whilst he's been around. And he has this amazing chat with Theo, something we've come to expect from him now. And it's so good. I think it helps him because when he gets back home, he's open to thinking about it. So Perri then manages just to stall Kaya at the motel for a bit whilst, Perri takes some thinking time. However, later in the week, whilst this thinking time is unraveling and Tane and Perri are doing Tayaha on the beach, do you do Tayaha or do you do with the Tayaha? What's the correct verb?
Not sure. Pass.
The name of the stick is the Tayaha, but what's the verb to Tayaha? If you know,
I don't
write
know.
in.
Yeah, email us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a clue.
And they're on looking, aren't they? And basically Harper's meeting up with her. They go for a walk and talk. And she says, doesn't she, this is amazing, like this is all I wanted for him, to be connected to his roots, and if he's finding that here, it's almost like she's then coming round to letting him go at that point, isn't it? Did this pull on your heartstrings, this sort of torment of parent that can't be reunited with a son that is rejecting her at this point? Or were you...
I think for me it was the salt scene, when they went out for dinner. I think that was the scene that got me. I don't know whether I was necessarily being like gut wrenched by these scenes of Kaya sort of talking to Harper, because I think somebody in the scene has to be a character that I care about to get the feels, if you know what I mean. And I think because I like Perri so much, and Harper and Tane are less on my radar in terms of favourites at the moment, it was the scenes between Kaya and Perri themselves and them two talking, and when they were at the table in Salt and she was saying all those things to him, that's when I felt gut wrench. I didn't necessarily feel that much beforehand. I felt for her, but I didn't feel like, I don't know, fully invested at that point.
Yeah, I think I'm struggling to side with her because, like you say, we're such big fans of Perri. You're entrenched in his thoughts, aren't you? You're empathizing with him.
Yes.
If you're going to be an empath for any of them, it's going to be him, isn't it? He's the one that we've seen go through all this crap.
Yeah.
And his backstory, we don't really know anything about her, and we're all still wondering how on earth she could have done the whole thing. So that sort of limits how much you can go there with her. I completely agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help that it's Harper.
No, and I was like, I felt bad for her because it's horrible to see someone upset, and it's horrible to think of a mum with a kid that doesn't want to, when your kid tells you to go to hell, that's horrible. It's awful, isn't it? And you should be siding with her. So I wanted to feel for her, but I just couldn't at that point. And it wasn't until you saw Perri get emotional, and that's what got me, not Kaya being emotional. So
yeah. I was the same. I was the absolute same. And you're talking about when he, because he asks her to go to dinner, when Harper brings her to the house, and his initial sort of reaction is, "What are you doing here? Get out! I needed time. I don't want to see you." And she's like, and to be fair to her, she's not. She's just like, I realise what you're saying. I'm not gonna. I'm upsetting you by being here. So I'm just letting you know that I'm gonna go. And I thought, fair enough. Like, you're not. A lot of characters in the past, similar to her, have pressed it and upset people, and it's been an argument. It's all escalated, and you're coming with me, and it could have gone down that route, couldn't it? But it did.
Yeah.
Fair play. I mean, he's 18, and what can she do? But fair play. She just said, I can see that, me being here is upsetting you. I want to go back to New Zealand. You call me whenever. And she's actually outside then, getting in the blooming car by the time he runs out and he's changed his mind. I think that good nature from her in that moment made him give her a chance.
Yeah.
I think the fact that she said that and said, I'm going to respect your piece, what you're saying to me, I think that made him open to it. And they go out for this dinner, don't they?
Yeah.
But it doesn't take long before, he's upset, isn't he, about chit-chatting, and he apologizes to her, but he thanks her for coming to the court, and she's saying, is it okay if I leave my contact number with you if you ever want to come and visit? I've never stopped loving you. And I think it just hits him like a bus at that point. He jumps up, goes out to the balcony, doesn't he? The salt balcony, and Tane follows him, and they have a talk it out. And I did like that scene, I must say. It's beautiful here. Tane briefly mentions how he often overlooks how beautiful it is. I don't know how, having been there ourselves. Sophie. And he says he wants to go with her. And I thought, okay, it's a bit quick, this U-turn, was he really upset with her? Did he? And we're analysts, right? I was then thinking, did he know she was alive all along? Because, my mind was racing at this point. I was thinking, well, that was a bit fast, that U-turn.
It was, but I don't know whether he was just testing her, and whether I don't know, because the impression we get from Dad, I mean, we didn't have a huge amount of scenes between Perri and Dad. Really, did we? We just had like him turning up and saying, "You must do this job with me. You must come home with me. You must do this. You must do that." And because she's sort of saying, she's not forcing him to do that. She's not saying, I want you to do this, and I want you to come to New Zealand, and I want you to do. So by doing that, he's kind of thinking, oh, she's given me space, and she's given me a chance to, make my own decisions. And I think by doing that, it's kind of won him round, because he's thinking, well, she's not going to boss me around like Dad did. I am going to be able to do what I want and not be, treated like a child, because that's not what he wants. He doesn't want to be bossed around. He wants to make it his own way in the world. So I think by doing that softly, and I'm respecting your boundaries. You've told me to go to hell. I'm going to go to New Zealand because that's where I'm from. I don't think it's quite hell, but she tried. She tried to do what he said, but you know what I mean? I think by doing that, he's kind of like, oh, she listened to me, and like I feel seen and I feel validated. So I think that helps.
Something actually, which is something he won't get from Tane, let's face it.
Exactly. He's not got that. He hasn't had that from anybody really, apart from Theo. Theo actually gives him space to speak his mind, to say his thoughts out loud. He doesn't tell him what to do. He tries to get him to get to the the point himself. So he does that really good thing where he sort of gets him to talk, and then by talking out loud, Perri kind of realizes how he feels about a situation or what he needs to do about a situation without being told, because he doesn't need to be told. He's an adult.
No.
So I think that's what probably won him round. It was fast, though. I will admit that. It was like 2 minutes on the balcony, and then actually I'll come to New Zealand with you. And we were a bit sad about the idea of him going, weren't we, last week when we talked about it? 'Cause we were like, is he just going to go back with Mum next week? And we weren't very happy about that.
Yeah.
And it's, although it's quick, I think I'd rather this than Perri's mum be like, you have to come with me, and him saying, no, I don't want to. And then, a week of that, I'd rather have not seen that. So I think the way that they got to this conclusion was better, because she's treated him like an adult and respected his boundaries.
I agree with you. You couldn't have said it better myself. Like, I think it's bittersweet, but having now seen the way it played out, this was better than, like you say, weeks of what ifs, back and forths, and visits here and there. I completely agree, and it made it more and more emotional for me, because I wasn't really wanting it to happen, and I couldn't control it, and I really enjoyed this character, and he was doing it for him. It was on his terms. He was happy. Finally, he can go and be free from the hell of a life he's had. And although I didn't want to see it for selfish reasons, I knew he had to go. You know, and I think I was welling up a bit because I was sad. And for such a short time he was on the show, I think he made a massive impact on me as a viewer. I do.
He did, and it does draw parallels, and a couple of other people have said this on Twitter this week. It draws parallels to Andrew's story, which was it last year or the year before? And it was very similar. I know. I mean, it's copy and paste, isn't it? It's a copy and paste. It is. I mean, his mum. He was an orphan essentially. His mum was dead, but we had Margot that came back from the dead as his mum. You know, pretended to be his mum, and then we had his dad had passed away. He hadn't murdered him, but he had passed away. And that was slightly different. But apart from that, it was young kids that had a bad life, bad upbringing, told lies by their parents. They, not schooled, didn't know how to read, weren't very socialized, didn't have any friends. Very similar kind of storylines. And also, I think that to compare the two, the actors that played Perri and Andrew were brilliant, and they were so popular. Like it was really hard to see any negative comments about them. It was very rare to see negative comments about Andrew, and I think the same about Perri. It's quite rare to see negative comments about Perri. Most people online are loving these stories, and it harks back to that nostalgia, that troubled teen in the Bay and the community rallying around and all of that sort of stuff. So that's why it works.
That formula works. Exactly. It proves it works, and I'm quite excited now because we've got, hopefully, sort of Rue's, because I mean we'll get on to it, but Rue's back in town. But hopefully, before she left, she was applying to be a foster parent. So I think the fact that the audience responds so well to these types of stories, and that's happening, and I think we're getting back to a space of that old Homer's formula that people say they want to see. But it still feels very much different and modern, and the stuff that we enjoy seeing that is different to the old Home and Away. So I think we've got to praise all the powers that be for getting that balance right and listening. I think because it works. This was such a great story, and like you say, very similar to Andrew.
It was. I think we're very lucky that we got those actors, because there was other people in the storylines that I wasn't enjoying as much, but the central character to the storyline, we've had really good actors playing them, and it's the portrayal's been spot on, so that's definitely helped, I think.
I agree. Now, after this emotional farewell, Tane and Harper, they go back home, don't they? And they're talking it out about what's next. And before we know it, there's a hot, steamy pash.
Is it?
No, I can't even keep a straight face saying it. They are growing closer. They're kissing. They've taken it to the bedroom. Harper's like, stop right now. Can't do this because I'm heavily pregnant. And she puts a stop to it, which confuses Tane a bit for a while. She legs it out the house, and Tane's like, hello, I'm the demigod. Never had that happen before. What's going on? Didn't do that last time, and we were on the gym floor. I'm giving her a bed this time. And I think what happens then is a bit strange, in my opinion, is that she runs all around the bay and tells everybody that this has happened. Bree sees her fleeing the scene, so follows her, who then tells Dana, who then they go around talking about it. Tane ends up telling Remy in the meanwhile, and he's confides in him about it. So, and then there's weird scenes of Remy and Bree talking about it. Like why? So it was just a bit odd. And it turns out that Harper's worried that she's got the feels for him, and she's doesn't want to go into it because she's going to get hurt, which I think is quite valid actually. And for a very rare occasion, I'm with her actually, and I was quite proud. When he finally catches up with her, she's quite open about that. She's quite honest, and she just says to him, doesn't she? Look, I've been very, very clear on multiple occasions how I feel about you. You have not been clear with me, and this is just muddying the waters even more. She doesn't. No, I paraphrased, but I sat back and I thought, do you know what? Of all the things you've said and done, girl, that's probably the best thing I can praise you for. You know, because you've not just grabbed the bull by the horns. Finally, he's looked at me. Finally, he's looked at me. My pants have just taken themselves off. They've dropped to the floor. Like, she's actually stuck up for herself, you know. And I thought, you know what, good on you. And he's like, oh, maybe she thinks it's because I'm sad about Perri leaving. You think you've just waved him off. You know?
It was literally a conversation about how sad he was to see Perri go, and then they start kissing. So yes, she does think it's that.
Yes, that's a perfectly reasonable conclusion to jump to. Good Lord, this man's so thick.
He's proper thick. He wasn't always this thick, was he?
No. It's all the trauma. He's
lost brain cells
left, right, and centre.
Do you think it was when he got poisoned, and he was gassed, wasn't he? When Martha.
By the rose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it then? Has his brain been damaged, or is it all the martial arts? Like, what's going on with this guy?
That would certainly explain his behaviour. Good Lord. We have this weird epiphany moment where he's looking at a picture of his dead wife. Oh, Felicity, who, by the way, you know, not even cold, and he's looking at pictures of her and putting things away in that chest or whatever. And he has this moment where he's like, yeah, I want this other woman. Looking at my dead wife's made me want another woman.
It's weird. He was putting Perri's, because Perri left that basketball behind, didn't he, for the baby? Yeah. And he was putting that in the box of death, which is what I've been calling it. It's like a box. It's like a box of stuff that belonged to people that he's used to love or still loves, but has died, like his brothers.
Yeah.
And his, like you say, his wife.
Yeah.
Oh,
when he looked at the family picture, you know, of all the brothers and that, I thought I was going to be in for. I thought I was going to be striking. No, I weren't. How wrong was I? You know, it didn't go that way, did it?
No.
And then he's gone to the beach and basically begged her to be with him. And she's like, yeah, let's give it a go then. So it looks like they're going to be a couple now. And he gets everything. He wanted a kid and a missus and a house and a family. And he gets it all after all this. It's so annoying.
I was thinking of you when this was all playing out. I was like, yep, Si's right. Tani gets what Tani wants. Yeah. I mean, what did you know when he met up with him on the beach and he was like, I think this could work or whatever? His little speech or whatever it was to try and win her around, that wouldn't have worked on me. Like, I still wasn't convinced that he actually liked her.
No, because didn't he say something like, well, there's no guarantees?
Like, yeah, well, he said something like, I can't imagine my life without you now. And I was like, well, you're having a baby with her. So, like, hopefully there won't be a time when you're without her, because the baby, you know, you'll be always tied to this woman because you're having a child with this woman. So I just thought that was a bit flimsy. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a bit.
No, I've got a theory now, because based on previous experience and other things, you know, 40 years of watching this, now we're going to have to do the whole invest in them, right? Or the writing's going to tell us to. Okay.
Yeah.
And as we know, babies and this show don't go. Really, no, right? No. It's a very rare occasion a baby comes into the world and grows up in the world. Someone's leaving, something's happening, so we've got to invest in them now. They're going to put them together, and it's going to be Love's Young Dream, baby on its way, and it's going to all have to be split apart somehow, right? Because, I mean, how far has she gone now? That'll be. She must be a couple of months, or she must be getting close to.
Wasn't she quite far along? wasn't she quite far along when she went for a scan? Wasn't it like already
Yeah.
3 or 4 months when she got a scan, and that was before Christmas. But then we've had a break, haven't we? So
Yeah, and we're already in Feb.
I
So I'm
don't know.
thinking 2 or
Like,
3 months time, baby
yeah.
storyline. We've got a couple of months here to like try and get us all on board with them, and then just it all be ripped apart again, like soaps do. That's just a
Yeah.
thought. I don't know, but and then obviously baby and or Harper or Tane might nick it or something. I don't know.
And I don't want to be like really morbid, but maybe baby doesn't get born. I don't know.
Well, that, again, yeah. Are we heading for something really, really tragic? And that sound like you say morbid sounds awful, but would a story like that get us on board with Harper? Would that start to soften us? Do you know what I mean? Because how can you not side with a mother who loses a child or something awful like that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a last resort for her, isn't it? Like that kind of storyline, you kind of have to feel for the character, because you'd have to be made of stone not to, wouldn't you? But
yeah, but also, I mean, half the audience are probably parents. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
how do you get the audience to like a character? Put them through something everyone can relate to. So I'm gonna. I think my gut tells me we're not far off, but yeah. So we've got to get them together first, and we've got to love them. But it's going to be a hard sell, home and away. It's going to be a hard sell. And they're both still in the opening titles. See, I'm at it already. They're both still in the new opening titles. So,
they are, but
yeah,
these we can't take any stock from that if they are old clips now that we've found that out.
Yeah, but guess who's not in the opening title?
Yes, but then they wouldn't be if these are old clips, wouldn't they? That's what I'm thinking. Because Mr. David says he saw this promo stuff ages ago, so baby was not even in the script back then. You know what I mean?
Is baby not on screen though now in Oz? We're not going to know because we've completely blacklisted Australia, haven't we?
No idea.
But surely there's been
us.
promos. Do not tell us. And I mean that we'll get really upset because we've managed this far. And even things like the twist in the court case was so much better not seeing it coming. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm really enjoying it and not knowing. But my gut's like, if it is on screen, there would definitely have been a promo with the baby in it. So I don't know. I'm reading too much into it now.
There might have been a promo, but we've muted all the home and away Australia pace stuff, haven't we? So we wouldn't have seen it anyway.
But they could have used a baby promo thing in the opening titles, couldn't they?
I don't know.
If there's been one.
I don't know. Not if these promo titles are a year old. How would they film them so that it would make it look like it was filmed at the same time?
Well, they're all just cut together, aren't they? You just cut one out, just slice and splice.
I don't know. I'm not putting much stock in what's actually in the promo.
Yeah,
I'm just like,
advice.
This is old footage. So I'm just ignoring it, to be honest. Yeah.
Let me heed your advice. Good advice. don't drive yourself mad over it, Si. Yeah.
No. Once Mr. David said he'd seen it ages ago, I was like, well, I'm not even overthinking it anymore. I'm just gonna get on with my life.
Yeah, singing the theme song.
Yeah.
Right, Tim trying to get on with his life. And he's been summoned to the farmhouse by Levi, hasn't he? Who you'll remember is not happy that he's sleeping with one sister and being counsellor to another. And as soon as he arrives, what does Levi do? Right hooks him.
And who does that remind you of? His sister, who did the same thing to him when he was having an affair. Yeah.
I was really cross with him because for all the suspicion about Tim and all the things we think is that he's doing the wrong things. If you've asked him there to talk and he arrived, he doesn't deserve that, right?
No.
He deserves to talk and be heard or listen to you, like what you've got to say. You're angry. I just don't condone that sort of stuff when you're angry. right?
No, no.
I don't think it's a good message to send out either, but I'll park it for the sake of the plot. But I was really cross with Levi for just lashing out at him like that, violently. Scream and shout at him all you want, let him know that you're angry, which he'd already done. So I'm not even then now, I'm even getting wound up now because I'm like, it wasn't even necessary. Was it necessary that he punched him?
It wasn't
necessary.
And we don't get a lot of violence on Home and Away, and when we do, it's because it's integral. I can't speak today, to the storyline. You know, like the Brie and her ex-husband thing. Like he was violent because he was domestically abusing her, and that was the storyline. But just randomly punching someone, like it's assault. It's illegal. Levi can get arrested. It'll affect his career if he did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not a small thing, and it's not something that you would do like on a daily. And well, certainly not me. Like if I'm annoyed with someone, I tell them I'm annoyed with them. I don't go up and punch them in the face. You know, it's just not cricket. It's not cricket.
It's not
I
the
know
way.
it's drama. I get that, but like you say, it doesn't feel necessary. I'd have rather them had a slanging match than be punching each other, because the same thing with the Eden thing, we slagged that off, didn't we, when Eden went in and punched Levi in the face? We were like, no, she's not a violent person. You know, this is out of character. It doesn't feel right. It didn't feel like it should be part of the storyline.
Yeah, completely agree. And we don't get any resolution. We don't get any.
No.
It doesn't propel the story, because Tim just says, you know, I'm entitled to a private life, and leaves because Levi's not ready to listen. So we don't get anything from it either, this scene.
All we get is Eden feeling sorry for Tim because he turns up with a split lip and it's her fault. You know what I mean? Like he just gets like, oh, poor Tim, you know, from her. So
yeah. And I tell you what was missing as well. He obviously, like you say, he turns up with the bus lip, doesn't he, to lunch to Sol. And nobody is reprimanding Levi for that behaviour, or that we've seen as of yet.
No.
Levi not apologising for doing it, for lashing out. So I'm a bit cross actually about this whole charade. I'm not, I'm not going to lie, I'm a bit cross about it. And it ends up with, even though I don't trust this Tim, you know, I really don't.
No, not as far as I can spit. Him. No.
It ends up with Eden calling it quits with Tim in the end. Because they can't lie and hurt Abby and all that business. And I don't think Eden would have done that if brother didn't assault him. You know, I don't think she'd have ended the relationship. And as much as I don't agree with this relationship, Tim has tried to do the right thing this week by saying to Abs, you need to get another counsellor. I can't be your counsellor anymore. You know, this is it sort of thing. I'll pass you on to someone. I'll send the details. And of course, we know what Abs is like. We know she's fragile and all the rest of it. And that doesn't go down well. And we're all braced for that, aren't we? And maybe you could argue he should have been honest about the reason why. But I think that was a lot of information in one go. I think you need another counsellor, start off with that. And then in the future, let's come to...
Do you think she does need another counsellor, though? Do you think that he was right to step down as her counsellor at this point?
Well, I think ethically, I think... Well, he did. Well, he need to, because obviously Eden had ended it by that point. So I think ethically it was right, because he's gotten too involved. I think he should have stepped down.
I don't think that's the reason he quit, though. I think the reason he quit is because Eden said, well, you know, you're Abby's counsellor, so we can't sleep together. So he went, oh, how about I'm not Abby's counsellor, and then I can sleep with you. I think he only ditched Abby because he wants Eden. I don't think he was being noble. I don't think he was like thinking of Abby. Like none of them have been for the whole of this thing.
No,
anyway.
I agree. Yeah. No, there are noble reasons for doing it, but they're not the reasons he deep down is doing it. Yeah.
Not at all. And I think I would have had more respect for him if he'd apologised to Levi and said, you know what, you're absolutely right. I've been really unprofessional. You know, I've been putting my sex life ahead of my patient. It's not right. And I'm going to pull my socks up from now on. I won't see Eden anymore. And I will, you know, get Abby through this, because, you know, ditching a patient at this point in her recovery is just going to set her back. and that's not in her best interest. And I think for me to forgive him for what he's done, I needed him to sort of say, I'm gonna sort this out. I'm gonna sort out this mess. But instead, he went, oh, I want to keep shagging Eden, so I've got to drop her as a patient and make it sound like I'm doing her a favour. No, I'm sorry, I can't get on board with that.
No, he's not. He's not. I think it's right that he should have stepped down, but yeah, you're right. He's not presenting it truthfully, is he?
No.
He is still being a bit of a dog, really. It's still a bit of a dog move because he's selfish. Reason.
I just think it's not in her interest. Even if he should have stepped down because he's been a professional, it's not in Abby's interest now to start counselling again at this point with a different person. He should have just pulled his bloody socks up and got on with it, I think.
Here we go. You've heard it here first, ladies and gents. And of course, Abs is second guessing everything. Then she's all like, "What's wrong with me? You know, it's my problem. Last in, first out. You know." And when she does get the new counsellor details, of course, she doesn't go to it. She doesn't. You know, she's decided she's not doing counselling now because, you know. You know, so it's backfired anyway. She's who suffers out of everything still. Abs.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. You're right. But
I don't need to be right. I just find it really weird. I don't know. I'm trying to put myself in her shoes, and I think it was really hard to get her to go to counselling in the first place. It was really hard to get her to open up, and now she has, and she's been singing his praises and saying how he's helping her and all of this stuff. Surely this is the worst thing they can do to her, apart from obviously the stuff that's going on behind her back. But she doesn't know about that at this point.
I mean, I'm now trying to think. Now you're saying all this, I'm now thinking when it all comes out in the wash and Abs finds out,
it will.
She's going to be like, not only were you sleeping behind my back and lying when I was pouring my heart out to this guy about you, also you dropped me when I needed you the most.
Yeah.
Just so you could carry it on. And do you know what I'm thinking we're going to see next week? We're going to see him go back to Eden, aren't we? And go, I'm no longer a counsellor, so let's get it on.
That's the only reason he's done it. That is the only reason. Yeah.
And I will be cross with Eden if she then continue and then goes, yeah, fine, green light.
Yeah.
Because of
how
all of them, she should know better.
How are they going to keep that quiet? Because if they do decide to start dating and then it's all above board because he's no longer counselling her sister, are they just going to be, you know, doing it quietly so Abs doesn't find out and wait 6 months until they go, oh, we're a couple? It's so planned. It's going to come out, isn't it? She's going to see them kissing, or she's going to hear someone talking about them, or, you know what I mean? There's going to be something. Yeah. And then we've just got to a point where the Fowlers can be in the same room as each other without punching each other or arguing. And this is going to be the mother of all arguments, isn't it? I don't know.
Yeah. The mother of all arguments, rehashing the same old crap. I'm just not into this now.
No, I'm getting a bit bored of this merry-go-round.
Same.
Get me off.
Same. And it consumed quite a lot of airtime this week. So there we have it. Abs is no counsellor. And them two are probably going to be even worse, despite everyone's advice. Abigail is going to feel like the whole world knew about this. And she did all conspiring behind her back.
She's going to hate Remy again, even. You know what
Levi,
I mean?
even.
Well, yeah, they're all in on it. All the people that she's forgiven. You know, she had that whole speech with Remy recently, like, I forgive you. She's not going to forgive him when she finds out he knew about it and he was hiding it as well. And it's all going to kick off. And I think the problem with this storyline is that we've had Eden versus Levi for so long. And now we've got the sisters versus each other. It just feels like a continuation of the Eden and Levi thing, which I think it's been a year, hasn't it? It's been a whole year.
Yeah. We are fatigued with it now, aren't we?
We are, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We're done. Fowlers.
We're done.
Listen.
If anybody's listening, we're done.
Cut.
Come on with something else. We need a break.
It's funny, isn't it? Because obviously they've really fleshed Eden out. They've given her this family. you
Yeah.
know, and then we've got Levi, who's since his arrival and his inception has really come on in terms. I mean, you did a 180,
180.
360, whatever it was you were doing last time we were talking about him.
Yeah.
So they've really put a lot of work into him. And now, you know, expanding the family out again.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather a different story, something a bit
Yeah.
more positive. Can we get there a bit quicker? Por
Yeah.
favor.
It
Yeah.
doesn't even need to be positive. It just needs to be something else, you know?
Yeah.
Something else. Some other
Something
drama.
else. Something else,
Yeah.
doll.
Something else.
Comes to something. Yeah. Right. Maz is wondering why Rue hasn't returned home yet, and poof, there she is.
Sound effects.
She's banking on it helping Mr. Stewart, isn't she? And giving, you know, fussing all over him with his down and outs struggle he's got going on, which still hasn't really been explored deeply enough, in my opinion. And he's just wanting her to shut up, and everyone shut up and stop misering me, shut up and go away, you gla, etc., and so on and so forth. And starts having to go at Rue when starts having a go at Maz, doesn't he, about this whole thing and fussing, and she's trying to make him an omelette or whatever it is she's trying to do. That continuity was all over the place. I don't know if you noticed, but the meals the characters were eating in different houses. Did you clock this?
Yeah.
Someone was having dinner. He was having breakfast. And then people were going out for lunch before. No, someone was having lunch, and then the next scene they were having breakfast. It was just a mess. I don't know what time of day it was.
I'm glad you said this, because there was a couple of scenes where I was like, "Oh, it's morning now. Oh, it's evening now. Oh, it's morning."
I was thinking, what meal are we having, people?
I know, it was super weird. Yeah. I also struggled with this.
I knew you'd clock that. That's why I wrote it down. I thought she's going to be all over that continuity. So the time continuum, something happened in the time in Summer Bay that day.
Maybe there's different time zones in Sydney. Maybe we were in one time zone and we didn't realise that there's another one. I don't know.
Maybe the ferry, and the ferry just goes through some vortex or something. The other side of the river, you're like 12 hours behind.
Who knows?
Who knows? We certainly didn't realise. So Rue walks in during this, and she's all like, "What's going on?" Everyone's screaming at Maz, and it's all about sort of him when he was in hospital and all the rest of it. That all comes out. So Rue's like, "Seriously, I've been summoned off my cruise here. Like, you know, I've heard you're in hospital. What is going on?" Maz lets slip about, you know, this, and runs out the door before she can have her head sliced off, which leaves him and Rue to work things out. She's cross, nobody even told her, and I completely agree. Marilyn dropped the ball there, especially how concerned she was about him nearly dying. Imagine if he did, and she didn't tell Rue that he'd had a heart attack again. How insane would she have been? So it is daft that it's come to this point where he's recovered. He's been out for a few weeks. He's gone home to his wife, come back for another week, and still no one's told him. Told Rue. Sorry, it is. She's the last to know, and no wonder she's cross. I must say, I know your thoughts and feelings about Rue, Sophie. I really do. But I must say, Georgie Parker's a fantastic actress, and it showed. It reminded me having her back after so long. Yeah. So thoughts. Rue's return. She's not happy. She's even gone to visit Brie. I did like this. This was when I thought, yes, Georgie, come on, performance of a lifetime here. She'd gone to see. That was a bit. I overegged that. Good performance. It's not going to get the Logie. She turned up. And having a go at Brie, because she found out that Brie, through Maz, she'd taken a holiday from work, so she couldn't get suspended. And she turns up at Bree's house and goes, having a nice break. I just loved it. It was camp. I loved it. Tell me everything about Rue's return. Tell me your reaction.
Yeah, obviously mixed feelings because Rue's not my favourite character. So I will stick a pin in that for now. But I think you're right. This storyline was, up until last week, was going nowhere. And it was frustrating because, as we've talked about, Bree was under serious disciplinary action from the hospital, going to a tribunal, having to defend herself. That tribunal didn't look like it was going very well. Like, she threw another colleague under the bus to try and save herself, and then went in the next day and said, oh, that was all a crock of shit. I was just, throwing him under the bus. She's admitted that, and then she's just gone, well, I'll take some leave, before they've even made a decision, before they've done anything to reprimand her or whatever. Then she skips off for a couple of days and comes back happy as Larry. Oh, I've got OCD and I'm not going to tell anybody about it. I'm just going to go back to work. And I was like, but can she go back to work? I've got so many questions about this tribunal. What happened? What was the outcome? Is she allowed to go back to work? When her holiday finishes, what happens to her?
Are they just going to suspend her again? Or
we don't know anything. So I think we needed Rue, because obviously Marilyn has tried already, to get this storyline moving and to stand up for Mr. Stewart, because he's not doing it for himself, let's face it. So I'm glad that Rue's back, and I'm glad that Rue's kicking off, because it feels like this might go somewhere now. But I don't know. I still feel like at the end of this week, I still don't understand what's going to happen to Bree. The whole thing is just really weird. Like, so she's come back and she's admitted to Remy she's got OCD, and that's the diagnosis. But she doesn't want to tell anybody, and she doesn't want to tell anybody at the hospital or her colleagues or anybody. But surely the hospital will have her medical records. And if the tribunal people want to look into what she's been doing on her days off or whatever, can they not just have a look at her medical records and see that she's been diagnosed as OCD?
Well, I don't know. Presumably she'd have to grant them access, even if she works there. Presumably.
I don't know. Don't you just have a national database where you can see everything? I don't know.
Yeah, but it's like here we have that, don't we? But you can't. You'd have to give specific instructions. It's private data, isn't it?
But it's a hospital. All they have to do is go on their own database and look her up.
I don't know.
It's like, if you worked in the NHS and you were a nurse, your medical records would be available to all your colleagues because they could just look you up in the database.
I don't know if that's right, though, is it?
It's not right, but it's there. Like, how's she going to keep it quiet?
I know what you mean.
What if she collapsed at work and they go to check if she's got any allergies?
Well, that's
and it
true.
Says
they're going to look, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, she hasn't. She's not allergic to penicillin, but she has got OCD. It's just really weird.
And she's not had a flu jab this season.
And she missed a smear test. Yeah, like I don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, this is the problem, isn't it? When you make friends with all the doctors that work in your local hospital, you never know when one of them's going to get OCD and try to kill you. So you just don't know what's going to happen.
No, not in these parts. Yeah. The secret's not going to last long, but it's not going to be that, is it? It's going to be the fact that Remy's gone round to SBH and told Alf and Rue that she's got some mental illness. And Rue's all like, well, should she be practicing medicine? And he's like, oh, if you wouldn't mind, dolls, just keep it between us.
She's going to be fuming when she finds out.
No, I think, prediction, Rue's going to be at that hospital on Monday.
Oh yeah.
Saying you've got a nutcase doctor working here.
Yeah.
Her boyfriend told me himself.
She'll probably go in and say, I'd like to know some more information about the diagnosis of your colleague who treated my father. And they'll go, what diagnosis? They'll look her up on the system. They'll go, oh, she's got OCD and she hasn't told us. It's got to come out. Sure, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, of course. And do you know what? I wouldn't even put it past Rue, because you know what Rue's like. I wouldn't put it past her doing an anonymous tip-off to the paper.
Oh, the old coastal
about
news.
Local, Summer Bay. She worked Summer Bay stalwart, Summer Bay Surf Club president, nearly murdered by OCD doctor. an anonymous source.
Oh,
Because she's a bit
yeah.
like that. Even though Alf's warned her, look,
Yeah.
it's good enough for me. She's sought help. It's good enough for
Mm.
me.
Do you
Because
do
Alf's
you
got more sympathy because Alf's going through something.
Yeah, well, this is the problem, isn't it? So Mr. Stewart, he's obviously struggling, but because he knows Bree. Bree's not just like some doctor that he's never met before that treated him in the hospital.
Mm.
She's local. He knows her. He sees her all the time. She's in the surf club because she surfs, so he knows her. So he feels responsible for what Bree, because Bree's been so honest with him and said, I made a mistake and I wasn't on my A game. And now Remy's told him, oh, she's got mental health issues, and Mr. Stewart's got a history of PTSD, and he doesn't know what the diagnosis is, but he understands mental health, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He feels responsible for Bree and how she feels, and like that's making him like he's not fighting his own corner, I don't think, because it's Bree. And if Bree was just some random doctor that you went into the hospital and saw one time and never saw again, you wouldn't think twice about going after them, would you? Because you don't feel any loyalty to them. You're not going to see them every day. They're
Mm-hmm.
almost a faceless person that
Yeah.
you're angry at the system, not at that particular. But because he
Yeah.
knows her, like I feel like part of the struggle that he's going through at the moment is he's reflecting on this horrible thing that's happened to him and how close he was to dying, and it's probably making him rethink his whole mortality and everything else. But he's also got this guilt from like this person that he knows is ripping herself apart because of it. Oh,
Mm.
I don't know. Am I
Mm.
just
No,
overthinking?
no. I think you're right. He's feeling it, like you say, because he's coming from that better place of understanding
Mm,
and knowledge. And he said it himself countless times over the years. We look out for each other around here in the
yeah,
bay.
yeah,
And this is part of that whole ethos that he represents. He's the head of
mm,
it. He is the representation of that Summer Bay spirit
yeah,
of looking out for each other. And this is the same even when, remember, he's had a sit down with her, and
mm,
he's had it out with her properly, calmly try and understand, and he appreciates that she didn't try and kill him, because Maz runs around hysterically making it sound like she was coming at him with a machete or something. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Cold murder or whatever.
yeah,
That's obviously not how it went down, and he knows that. And I think, given, like I say, all the sort of Summer Bay-ness that
yeah.
he's about, is why he's in the position that he's in.
Mm.
But I do enjoy it when Bree is hiding in the garden and Rue's like, well, I'll come out there then. Because it's just funny in the moment. You know what I mean?
It is funny. It is funny
Mm.
because at the end of the day, it's grown adults, and she's just standing in the
Yeah.
garden on her own. It just looks hilarious. Oh
Yeah.
dear. I
Yeah.
do think that we are heading for trouble with Brie and Remy though, because she said to him, "Don't breathe a word," and although he thinks he's been really clever by just going around there and saying, "Oh, keep it on the down low," by saying even she's got a mental health diagnosis, he's already said way too much, I think.
He's broken her trust. I think their relationship's doomed. If
Yeah.
she was lying about the counselling, I still think she might be.
Mm,
She's skipping around town because she now knows what she's got, but she's still burying her head in the sand.
yeah.
He thinks he's doing the right thing, but actually he's playing peacekeeper. He's
Mm,
just all he's doing is fending off the Stewarts.
yeah.
And by doing that, he's broken her trust. And I don't know if she's vulnerable and she needs counselling and she needs recovery. She's not going to respond very well to that at all. I think it's
No.
doomed, innit?
Yeah. I mean, if I was her, I'd be fuming at him. I'd be honestly,
Mm-hmm.
I'd be so upset and
Of course you would.
betrayed. Yeah.
Yeah, you would. I think anybody would, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
So yeah, let's brace ourselves for that.
Oh, braced. Yes.
John won't let Dana drive the Polaris this week. Says that she's an overly sensitive Gen Z. when she thinks it's because he's discriminating against her because she's a female. He's let loads of blokes drive it in the past. Gets all riled up about it, doesn't she? And
Yeah.
against Xander's advice, goes and has a go at him. And this scene was quite, because it's a shock, because we don't see John and Dana like this at Loggerheads, do we?
Never.
What we know and what we rely on them two for is comedy. So the fact that we see her storm into the office after, by the way, he's overheard her calling him a dinosaur. She's charged into the office and accused him of some horrendous things, actually, discrimination being one of them. But she's basically saying, don't fob me off. You clearly have a problem with strong, independent women who aren't afraid to speak their mind. And he's like, what the hell, Dana? And she just won't let him come in, will she? And we're left like that on the end of an episode. And I was sitting there thinking, you know, she's waving the flag for women. She feels like she needed to, you know, stand up and put her head above the parapet for the woman, you know, and for herself. And I thought fair enough, she's asserted herself, and she's not a character I think of as someone who can do that very easily. She's a bit of a larrikin for me. Larrikin, you know, she messes her words up. She speaks when she shouldn't. She says too much, and you know, and all the rest of it. She's a bit of a skitty scatty left from field kind of character, isn't she? So the fact that she quite clearly went in and stuck up for herself, I was quite proud of her for doing so. But then the next day, when the next episode comes out, and it's like apparent that she got the whole thing wrong, and actually it is all part of what she's like, speaking before she thinks and that kind of thing that we know Dana for, just not in a funny way, which I'm a bit unsure about why, or what I think about it. But actually we end up, it's split, and it's really cleverly written, because I go from the end of one episode going, yes, girl power, woo, spice up your life. And then the next episode, I'm like, oh my God, John. Oh, John.
Yeah.
And I'm on John's side within seconds of the next episode starting. Perfectly written to toy with us. And he's like, I've been emailing you to fill in your induction paperwork. And, you know, I was trying to make your workload lighter. So I didn't want to pest you, because you asked me for lighter stuff because you had a lot of stuff going on. And he ends up walking out. He says, well, I'm sorry you feel like you can't work with a dinosaur. You know, because he'd overheard her saying it, and I just wanted to hug him.
I know.
You know, I've gone from waving the Dana flag to really wanting to be there for John. I thought that was so good.
Yeah, I was gonna ask your opinion on the whole Dana, you know, because you are Dana's fan club president. So I was gonna ask you, self-proclaimed fan club president. Do you feel differently about Dana now because she has upset JP, and you know we love JP so much? Has it made you look at her differently, or
no? It's going to take more than that.
Part and parcel of who she is, and that's why you like her?
I think it's a bit of part and parcel, right? But I don't feel like she's conducted herself very well. It's not changed my overall opinion of her. I think we've all done something like that, haven't we? Where it's not been our proudest moment, you know? And I think she needs to learn a lot from this, you know, checking her emails, like actor, like character. But yeah, I think providing she grows from it, I'm all for it, you know. But I think I'm torn. There's no real simple answer to your question, because I'm like, she stuck up for herself, and you know, putting her foot in it and speaking before she thinks or knows all the facts is very Dana, but she was horrendously harsh and quite offensive to John, and I can't defend that. You know, she was in the wrong. I don't think she should have behaved like that, and I wasn't very happy with the way she conducted herself. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I wasn't on her side throughout the whole thing. I thought she was vile the first time she had to go with him, just even if she was right about what she was saying, which obviously we found out later that she isn't, but even if she was right and John was doing it for discriminatory reasons and because she was a woman and all the things that she assumed, I wasn't on her side because of the way she went about it. I didn't like the fact that she burst in the door and shouted at him, didn't let him put his side, across, didn't let him speak, didn't ask him in a nice way, can you explain to me why it is that I'm not allowed to drive the buggy but other people are? Can you give me the reasons why? She just jumped to conclusions. I didn't like the fact that she called him a dinosaur in the middle of the surf club with all those customers around. I thought she was really unprofessional, and I thought for a nurse specifically, that was really uncalled for, because she should have the nous to know when things are private, when you have conversations in private, and when you don't scream and shout those kind of things in your place of employment about your employer. You know what I mean? So I was not on her side. I didn't see it as girl power. I didn't see it, and I actually think when people kick off like that, it doesn't help the whole girl power thing, the whole standing up for yourself, because you just look hysterical and look like you've jumped to conclusions. And then when you've got an actual argument, it's crying wolf, because you kicked off last time and
nobody
you're just
listens, sort of thing. Yeah.
And people just go, oh, she's just a hormonal woman who lets things run away from her and opens her mouth, and that's when you lose credibility for those kind of things. So I was actually not very happy with Dana at all from start to finish. And like you, the second episode just crushed me, because I was cross with him in the first one, and the second episode I was just crushed because of John and how sad he was and all the things he said about, I think so highly of you, and to know that you think so little of me has just broken my heart. And it was like, it's just horrible. Like,
it was
that is
awful, wasn't it?
That literally gut wrenched me. I mean, I was literally cross on the first day, but on the second day I was broken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But absolutely fair enough. And it'll be interesting now, because we've got one of the best friendships on the show in tatters, and John's told her that it's strictly professional now. I'm done. And he's literally giving her the cold shoulder. He's making her drive that buggy. So we had some comedy. You know that scene where she's made driving the buggy and he's making the goes to the letter, and Xander can walk better faster than the buggy.
It was funny. She's like, can we go a bit faster? And he's like, nope.
as it just sort of drives out a shot. Very well done.
How good of him to do that, because the one thing that the thing that I'm not impressed about Dana for was the lack of professionalism and all of that I just said. But you've got to give John his credit. He's just been shouted at, called a dinosaur, called basically a sexist pig in front of everybody in the surf club, and yet the next day he comes to work because she's filled her paperwork in and teaches her, completely down the line. Yeah. Follows the club rules, as he keeps saying. I just follow the club rules, to the letter. And he does that. And he takes her on her induction and gets her through it. Treats her as any other employee. And I just thought that's how you do professionalism. Like, he got on with the job and he didn't make it personal.
Yeah.
So,
and it could have very easily snapped and made it personal, because all the while he's keeping this up and professionality and having to work with her. Yeah. He's got her saying, come on, give me a break. I've said sorry. Even a boyfriend says, you're being unreasonable, mate.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So he had all that coming at him. And then even Alf has a pop about him. And I'm thinking, of all people at the minute, Alf, you can't call him Moni. Sorry to be but
you're right.
We've all got stuff we feel, and John's entitled to his response in that way. He's very entitled,
but he's keeping it professional. So at work, he's saying, right, let's get on with your induction and let's do this and let's do that, to the letter, club rules, etc., treating her like a normal employee. And then when she says to him, come and have dinner with me, or come and do this with me, like as a personal thing, it's then when he goes, no, we're not friends, and he's not screaming and shouting at her and being horrible. He's just putting it out there and saying, no, I will work with you, but I will no longer be your friend.
He does change the road, which I thought was funny, because that was probably the
You
only
would though,
part.
wouldn't
Yeah, I know,
you?
but it was the only part where it maybe did seep into work a bit, you know, like changing the
Oh,
rotors.
but you
But
wouldn't want to hang out like this is voluntary, isn't it? Like
yeah,
these jobs are voluntary. You
well,
wouldn't want to hang out with somebody that
yeah,
thinks you're a horrible old sexist
of
dinosaur. You know what I mean? Like you
course you
just
wouldn't.
wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't. And
Imagine your
now,
work
Al's
bestie coming in and accusing you of being something awful that you haven't done, and then you've got to
no,
see her all the time. You know, it would just be horrible.
be like, you're dead to me.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you know? And now Al's going to bang their heads together, whatever that means. So I'm not
Mm,
expecting this to rumble on. I just, I've got to have faith that Dana will grow from it.
yeah.
And I think she will. I think she can do that. I really do.
Mm,
I want to believe she can do it. And I think of all the characters on there, actually, she's probably the one that's most like a sponge and will learn from it. I
yeah.
don't think she'd want to be that person who's upsetting anybody.
No, no.
Um,
It's just not. She's not malicious. She just doesn't
yeah,
think.
no,
She doesn't think.
absolutely.
She just talks, and it just falls out of her mouth, and
Mm,
then she goes, "Oh, that wasn't right. I shouldn't have said it." It's like, yeah,
yeah,
you shouldn't have. You shouldn't have.
but this is a prime example, isn't it, of
Yeah.
doing that with idle gossip and
Mm,
actually being nasty. And
mm,
she's crossed the line here.
yeah,
Like
she has.
there's no other
Yeah.
way of saying it, is there?
No.
Please take the time to like, subscribe, and review Coastal News wherever you source your podcasts and ensure you never miss an episode.